All right, Akim, Shalom, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Makapadash. Papa honors the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Seek teachings to the sincere Akim and Akwath and may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick and Lord's will. As always, I just want to do another part to this lesson called provisions. And before I actually, dive into the scriptures, I just wanted to let me get the word provisions. So an idea is being known of what I'm actually speaking of. So let's type in the word provisions. Okay, so this is provision in the etymology. Okay, it says foresight, prudence, care, a providing beforehand, action of arranging in advance. It says precaution, care. It says a foreseeing, a foresight, preparation, prevention, right? So essentially, there is a mindset, kind of tied to this, right? In regards to, the manner of someone actually does things. So, and one of the words that's sticking out to me is prudence, because as a matter of fact, let me jump to that scripture first. I don't know if I had that on the screen here. Because it said prudence, right? So, what does the scripture say about a prudent man? Okay, so this is Proverbs 22:3, and it says, a prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished, right? So it shows the mentality of, us to have this understanding, the hopeful elect, Lord's will, the Lord has mercy on us. And, the mentality of, the majority of our people, because the majority of our people essentially are regards to that second part of the precept where it says the simple pass on and are punished, and when you think of that, like, practically, it's kind of equating to, how our people might see us, teaching on the streets, like scriptures talk about in Proverbs 1, that wisdom crieth aloud, and she uttereth a voice in the chief places of concourse. So you have, multiple different camps trying to enlighten you Israelites in regards to, who you are, who your power is, understanding your power, coming back to the Lord to seek refuge, because the times are to come are evil, right? So that's really the point, but our people essentially pass on, and that's another thing as well. Not only do they pass on, they're punished, because essentially, the scriptures talk about how the Lord can abundantly pardon, if you seek him, but our people pass on and are punished, and essentially they die and get judged for their sins. And so it shows you the different mentalities of the people who pass us on the street, for example. And Jake likes to essentially kind of like mock us, ridicule us, we're bums. Even have other Israelite camps, that actually try and make fun of us as well. The looking at the way we attack, the way we dress and so on and so forth, right? But even the Apostle Paul said, I might be rude in speech, but not in knowledge, right? So we're giving you knowledge of how to actually, essentially be covered in the time of trouble, right? So and then there's a level of urgency that we move with, right? So I'll read it again. It says, a prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself, right? So we're hiding himself, in this wisdom and understanding, because we want the Lord to essentially have uh, to remember us in times of trouble, right? So that's pretty much, the one of the ideas I'm trying to convey as well, right? So it also said, so it says, look ahead, uh, foreseeing a foresight preparation, right? So we're changing, working on that, changing ourselves, right, and changing an attitude of the way we actually deal with situations and so on and so forth. It also says something provided, supply of necessary things, right? So, and that's another point I kind of wanted to add and actually discuss quickly in this lesson is the fact that, in those times of trouble, when we're essentially kind of like, not essentially removed, but, kind of seen as, deemed as, I guess, not part of the status quo, so to speak. There will be situations when we want the Lord to intervene. That's why we're seeking the Lord now, right? As part of not only to have mercy on us, but to actually even be with us and protect us in those particular times of trouble, right? So that's another part I kind of wanted to add into for this lesson as well, because there have been accounts when the Lord has essentially has intervened for different accounts or different times with our different forefathers, right? So I want to touch on that as well, but I wanted to where is that? Okay, that was in Isaiah. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, this is Isaiah 65, verse 12, and it says, therefore I will number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, ye did not answer, and when I spake, ye did not hear. So it refers to the same mentality. When you see a lot of our people, they pass by, and and they look at us, and they look at us as essentially like regular men, right? And essentially they kind of fan their nose at the message. They don't actually take the Lord's compassion actually seriously. So I'll read that again. Continuing on, it says, but it says, because when I called, ye did not answer, and when I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. Right? So it shows you, there are going to be a lot of our people that are going to pass, and the Lord's going to remove a lot of our people because, essentially they fan their nose at it. They mocked the prophets, they scoffed at the prophets, you know, even for like on a low level example, there was an account in Kings when the prophet Elisha, had sent she bearers after these children, because they were essentially kind of they were mocking him, right? So, and then those bears essentially devoured those children, right? So it really shows, that there's a lack of fear of how our people deal with the prophets. Our people are very very skilled at and very very wise to do evil, essentially. And so in terms of actually mocking the prophets, our people don't take into account these particular things what they're doing. As a matter of fact, what is that? That's Sirach. Just bear with me one second. Let's see if I can find that. Just bear with me. Okay, this is Sirach 13, verse 23, and it says, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look, and what he saith, they extol it to the clouds. So they hold it in high regard when it's somebody of people of this world speak. When it comes to what's going on with our people, right? They might be talking about the curses without actually talking about the curses, right? You people of this world, your musicians, your entertainers, these people that have that large platforms like your Joe Rogans and so on and so forth. But when the poor man speaks, so it says the poor man, excuse me, sorry. It says, but if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? If he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. So it shows you the mentality of how the world essentially looks at the prophets. They look at somebody. They don't essentially extol what he says. They don't actually take into account what it says. Because we don't look the part of clean shaven, well dressed. We don't look happy. We have a very austere look on our faces because we're angry, right? Scriptures talk about how with much wisdom is much grief, right? What's that precept? It was in Samuel. Just bear with me. I know it's in Samuel somewhere. I just want to make this quick point. Okay, this is First Samuel 16, verse 2. The point's in 4. I just want to make this quick point in regards to, the fear that I referred to when our people, sought the prophets. And Samuel said, if Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, take an heifer with thee, and say, I have come to sacrifice unto the Lord. And call Jesse to sacrifice, and will show thee what thou shalt do. And thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee. So this is going into the story of King David. But the point I just wanted to make is this point. And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem, and the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, comest thou peaceably? Right? So, when they saw a prophet, it didn't come, it wasn't somebody you essentially you were happy to see. They were right. There's a certain level of fear, like in Jeremiah says, the prophets that have been before me have prophesied of essentially lamentation and woe, of darkness, to roughly paraphrase Jeremiah 28, right? They didn't come in a very peaceable, happy, hanging out, hugs and kisses and so on and so forth, right? So okay, now that I've made that point, I just want to jump to the story here with Daniel. So just bear with me one second. What's that? I think it's 87. Just to stay on the topic of provisions. Just bear with me on this. Let me see if I can just find it. Okay. One second. Okay, this is Bel and the Dragon, chapter 1. I'll start at verse 13 and read down with the points in 38. So this is going into Daniel. And it says, now when the king saw that they pressed him sore, being constrained, he delivered Daniel unto them, and cast him into the lion's den, where he was 6 days. And in the den he was there, and in the den there were 7 lions, and they had given them every day 2 carcasses and 2 sheep, which then were not given to them to the intent they might devour Daniel, right? So they were given some food, but at this time when Daniel was cast in, they didn't give them any food because they wanted the lions to devour Daniel. So it says, now there was in Jewry a prophet named Habakkuk who made pottage and broken bread in a bowl and was going into the field for it for to bring it to the reapers. And the angel of the Lord said to Habakkuk, go carry the dinner that thou hast into Babylon unto Daniel, who is in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Lord, I have never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is. Verse 36, and it says, then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown and bare him by the hair of his head, and through the vehemency of his spirit set him in Babylon over the den. And Habakkuk cried, saying, O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which the Most High, Yahweh, Bashmel has set thee. Then Daniel said, thou hast remembered me, O Yahweh, Bashmel neither hast thou forsaken them to seek thee and love thee. Right? So Daniel arose and did eat, and the angel of the Lord set Habakkuk in his own place again immediately. Right? So essentially, the point I wanted to communicate was Daniel was in a particular situation where he was cast into the lion's den, and even further, the lions were purposely starved. And in this situation, the Lord, had the Lord, it said that the Lord remembered. Let me read that again. And Daniel said, thou hast remembered me, O Yahweh, neither hast thou forsaken them that seek thee and love thee. Right? So that's the point, because we're seeking the Lord in a time when he may be found, right? So he can remember us in those times, right? In those moments of temptation, right? So that's like the scriptures say, that the things that are written aforetime are written for our learning, right? So we be comforted, knowing that these things, right, and all the miracles, like we don't actually see, for example, all these things being put in place, right? We don't see, for example, like we don't come across, for example, like a bunker with a bunch of food in there. It's like, okay, I'm gonna hide there, when the time comes, right? We don't see these things, right? But that's also part, of faith, because we essentially we seek the Lord now while he may be found, and then actually try to live a life that doesn't rack up more sin and rack up more essential, like spiritual debt, so to speak, right? So the Lord can remember us in those times, right? And actually be our defense in those times, because in those times we're not gonna have like we can't go to the ATM and all this kind of stuff, right? We're not gonna, and all that kind of that's all that kind of jazz, right? But that's the point, because Daniel said that seek thee and love thee, right? And show, remember that. As a matter of fact, let me get that. Ecclesiastes 12. Okay, Ecclesiastes 12:1, and it says, remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, right? So, that's the time, that's, even this time, we're remembering the Lord now, and, while we actually have, the ability to, even do certain things, because also one thing I've noticed about our people is that, they don't want to seek the Lord, essentially. They want to seek the Lord when it's almost too late. Like, this is kind of that always sticks to me in time of Judges. So when Israel was taken over and being besieged by the Midianites, they had essentially gotten rid of the food supply, and at that time, then that's when they started to want to cry unto the Lord, right? But in this time, there will be a famine, and then there'll also be a famine of the word, right? And then that time will be, for our people, it'll be too late, right? So our people, they don't. Essentially, the point I'm trying to make is, in their affliction, like it says in Hosea, they shall seek me early, right? So and when it seems like it's curry and crisp, and our people get comfortable because they see Trump is now back in power. They think themselves to be in a good case, right? And then sudden destruction, right? And then that's when they want to call upon the Lord, and then that's when they want to be looking for those the prophets on the street and so on and so forth. Hey, I remember you were talking about this and that. And it's like, no, man, it's too late, right? So, anyways, that's pretty much the point of the lesson. I didn't want to make the lesson too long, but I sincerely pray this was edifying, and so I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Until next time, I say Shalom.